Greetings, Cleveland, and welcome to Creative Focus, the show that illuminates some of Cleveland's most talented and creative artists across the genres of dance, film, music, theater, and visual arts. I'm your host, Cornell Calhoun III, and I am honored to have as my guest today the artistic director of the historic Cleveland Playhouse, Miss Laura Kepley. Laura, welcome to Creative Focus. Let's chop it up.
Oh, I'm so delighted to be here. Thank you so much.
I'm honored to have you. So I want to begin with a memory about the Cleveland Playhouse. And you let me know if you've ever experienced what I'm about to tell you. So in 2013, I attended The Whipping Man by Matthew Lopez. Just an incredible production. I think it was at that time they called it the second stage, I think. And at the end of the production, the three-character production, the audience rose as one and gave them a standing ovation. And I've never witnessed that. I mean, as a performer and as a director, I've been involved in standing ovations. In the fall, I was fortunate to be in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom at Caramoo, played Cutler, and we got standing ovations. But what happened is, you know, usually one section stands, then another section, then the people who feel guilty stand. So now you got the audience, but never have I witnessed the whole audience stand. Have you ever witnessed that? And I'm sure you watched several productions of The Whipping Man, that 2013 show. Did you experience that?
Yes, that happened the night that I saw the show. And like you said, it's a very, very rare thing in theater. You're right, you know, a sort of eventual standing ovation.
Right, exactly,
more frequently. But yeah, in my time at Cleveland Playhouse, I think there have been maybe, so in my 11 years, I think there have been maybe 3 times that that's happened, and The Whipping Man was certainly one of them.
Wow, you know, I was thinking that's so rare, so rare. So can you give us just a brief history of the Cleveland Playhouse and the impact it has on the Cleveland community at large?
Sure. Well, Cleveland Playhouse was founded in 1915 by a group of folks who considered themselves a mix of businessmen and bohemians, and they were inspired to create the theater because the local theater critic had just gone to Europe and actually to Moscow and was looking at all of the great theaters of Europe, and you know, he wrote about it while he was abroad, but he came home and he said, Cleveland is a great city and it deserves a great theater of its own. So not the touring productions that come in. Cleveland deserves to have a resident theater. So we are America's first resident theater that has been continuously operating since our founding in 1915.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. Incredible. So 11 years at the Cleveland Playhouse, the second woman to hold the position as artistic director. Right. Over 50 productions, 18 to 19 productions that you directed. Right. You're credited with giving opportunities to actors and directors who identify as female or people of color. In 2015, you received the Regional Tony Award. Just an incredible track record for you. Is there anything else that you might want to accomplish, if there's anything left at the Playhouse?
Sure. I mean, I think the Playhouse has such an outstanding history, but we're also always trying to improve, always trying to be more inclusive, do shows that make that impact that, like you said, with Whipping Man, that stay with you for years to come. And so I think, you know, what drives me is to tell important, socially relevant stories that appeal to people's heads and hearts, and create a space in the theater where everyone feels like they belong, right. And we leave, you know, more bonded to each other.
So how did you get started in theater? Are you like the rest of us? You know, I started as a performer and then I kind of graduated to directing. How did that start for you?
Yes, I was definitely, I think people say that acting is the gateway drug into the rest of the performing arts. You know, I had kind of a turbulent childhood and certainly adolescence, and I was fortunate enough to go to a public high school that had a great theater department. And so that was the place where I could go and feel safe and feel heard. And ironically, like by escaping into these other characters, I started to feel most like myself.
Okay. And so you started to perform, and then from that you elevated to directing?
I did. I think I was always a director, but I just didn't have the confidence and didn't necessarily get the support to do it until I was in my mid-20s. And that's when people started saying, hey, I think you should, you know, start directing.
Start directing.
Yeah.
So do you remember the first show that you were in?
I do. It was a summer camp production of Hansel and Gretel. And I played Hansel.
So how was that experience? Did that endear you to the theater even more, or?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think the one thing that I miss so much about acting that you don't really get in directing is when you're part of a cast, there is such an incredible camaraderie with your fellow artists. And I feel that a bit as a director and as the artistic director. But when you are on stage together every night, really doing what most human beings avoid, which is like talking about your opening up, talking about your problems, and really trying to wrestle with the most sort of scary and dangerous parts of humanity. So when actors are being that vulnerable with each other every night on stage, they form incredibly close relationships. So
do you have a preference, directing or acting? Because early on, I loved to perform. You know, that was my thing. Now I much rather write and direct, but I will do August Wilson. I will do August Wilson. So that's how I got into Ma Rainey.
Yes.
Do you have a preference, or does it matter to you?
You know, I think I'm at an interesting point in my life, because I have really dedicated the last 15, 20 years to almost exclusively directing.
Right.
But I started, right, as an actor, I started as a writer, I started as a producer, a little bit of a designer. So I'm interested in this next chapter that I might start opening up more. And maybe you'll see me on stage. I don't know.
Maybe we'll be on stage together.
That would be great. Oh my gosh.
So now you are currently in rehearsal for the Three Musketeers.
Yes.
I think it opens April 30th, runs to May 22nd.
Perfect. Thank you.
And what theater is it in?
That's in our Allen Theater,
Allen
so
Theater.
the large space.
Okay, and I think we have a clip of a rehearsal. So let's roll that clip right quick and see how we're doing.
My job on the Three Musketeers is to create all of the fight sequences. And in the Three Musketeers, in this version, there are a lot of fight sequences. So my job is to try to make each one of those fight sequences different so that the audience is never thinking, oh, we've seen this before. Overall, my job is to stage all of the fight sequences, make sure that they complement the story that we're telling, as well as the actors who are telling those stories. We'll be seeing a variety of different styles. One of the things I thought was important in creating the fights for the Three Musketeers is to give all of the Musketeers their own unique sort of fighting style, as well as the two fighting bad guys, Jussac and Rushford. All of those characters have their own fight language, and that fight language will be largely based, like the show, with a footprint in 17th century France, but sort of evolving out of that to maybe some slightly more modern fighting styles. For instance, the actor who's playing Athos has a martial arts background, so we might be featuring some martial arts in his sword fighting. It will also be the job of the fight ensemble to help the Musketeers tell their own fight stories. So even if they're not featured with their own unique fight styles, the way that they fight against the Musketeers will also help to tell the story of those Musketeers' fighting styles. A lot of the fights were mapped out in New York, and then when I got here and met with the actors, we sort of used the map as a blueprint for how we were going to create the sequences. The cast for this Three Musketeers has an exceptional level of stage combat skills, as well as a variety of parkour skills, martial arts skills, dance skills, gymnastic skills that we're all going to try and put on display here at Cleveland Playhouse. So we built the fights from the ground up, again using a blueprint and then just exploring with the actors, showcasing their skill. How do we start in a rehearsal? It really kind of depends on the fight sequence. For instance, we'll start in a sword fight very slow, learning the choreography, and then eventually, if it's a big group scene, once all the choreography is placed, we'll put all the actors on the stage and we'll take the swords out of their hands just to make sure that we have room on the stage to move around the stage while swinging swords. Eventually, we put the swords back into their hands and move at a very slow pace, eventually building rhythm before speed, so that we're building the rhythm of the fight and the musicality of the fight before we actually start to put speed into the equation. And eventually, we increase the level of speed to a performance level.
Wow. So what's exciting about doing the Three Musketeers? You know, that swashbuckling.
Yeah, so what you saw right there is you see these performers who are not only incredible actors, but they are just, top tier athletes.
Wow.
They are combining dance and movement and martial arts and stage combat. I've really never seen anything like this cast and what they can do. When we were programming it, we wanted to do a show that after, being isolated, being at home, being, just sort of sitting in our chairs on screens on Zoom, to do something that would just showcase athleticism, theatricality, and so that we could see, human beings doing incredible feats with their body and just, thrill at that. And the other thing that draws me to Three Musketeers, it's a story about friendship, and it's a story about having each other's back and like how your friends shape you through the ups and downs of your life. So I think this play is the perfect show. If people haven't come back to the theater yet,
right,
they should come on back and see Three Musketeers. Super entertaining, and it gives you comedy, romance, drama, and adventure.
Wow, well spoken. So would you say this is the most physical production you've ever directed?
Yes. Yes, it's even more physical than some musicals, if you can believe it. Yeah, there are 10 fights in the show. And in terms of stage time, like the play is actually very fast and very fleet, but at least a quarter, if not a third of it, is all physical fights.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they need to get to the Allen Theater at the Cleveland Playhouse, opening March 30th, April 30th,
yep,
excuse me, until May 22nd.
That's right.
And see the show.
Yep.
Okay. So I want to talk about an individual who's very, very dear to my heart, the First Lady of Theater, Dorothy Silver. I mean, she was my mentor for like 40 years. And you and I have a slight connection because she performed for you in the Crucible. And years ago, her late husband, Dr. Reuben Silver, directed me in the Crucible at the Cleveland State Old Factory Theater. I played the hanging judge, Danforth.
Right.
So What was your experience like working with Dorothy?
I too just revere her and miss her. Working with her was incredible because she came in so prepared but so curious. She elevated everything we did as a company, because she would say, "Oh, and have you thought about this? Have you thought about this?" And one of the things that I am so fortunate that in the Crucible production, we had our students in that production as well as some local young people. So they got to see her and see her work. And I remember turning to our graduate students who were in the production after the first day of rehearsal, and I said, "That's how a professional comes into the first day of rehearsal." And, you know, she was so good. So good. And then I also had the opportunity to work with her again on a reading of a play by Eric Coble called Hatbox.
Okay, Hatbox.
And this was something we did in the Newgrounds Theater Festival. And she was the matriarch of a family and had fantastic local actors in it, Deirdre Ring, Laura Parada. And that one, I thought I had seen everything, because I would watch Dorothy and everything around town, and I thought I had sort of seen everything, and she continued just to throw down. Right? Yes.
She was incredible. She used to come to our rehearsals when Ruben was directing, and she would sit in the back, and she would never utter a sound. And then the next day at rehearsal, we would say, "Ruben, what did Dorothy think?" And he would say, My only regret is that I never had the opportunity to work with her on stage. That was something we were working toward. I actually wrote a play called Laurel that I had hoped that she and I could one day perform. They meant the world to me. They still do. I'm still in touch with the family. I remember when Ruben passed in 2014, I believe, they lowered the lights. They dimmed the lights at Playhouse Square, and I can never remember that happening. Yeah. Did you ever get a chance to meet Ruben?
I did. I was so fortunate that I met them both right when I came to Cleveland in the fall of 2010, and I attended his memorial, and just recognizing the incredible impact that both he and Dorothy had. But I feel so fortunate that I did get to know Ruben before he passed away.
Did you get an opportunity to see her memorial on Zoom? I was so honored that the family asked me to be a part of that.
Yeah.
She's always in my heart.
Yeah.
Always.
Extraordinary. One of the things in the Crucible, at the very end of the play, she and John Proctor are going, to be executed.
Right.
And Esau Pritchett, who played our John Proctor, who was recently on Broadway in Thoughts of a Colored Man, and he's 6'6", and little Dorothy, and they would take hands. And what Esau said was like, it looked like I was helping Dorothy walk along, but really she was my rock.
It was that production was incredible. I remember the last scene of them standing on the landing. You did a fantastic job of directing that show. I also saw Fairfield also that you did. And didn't she play have a lead role in Eric's The Velocity of Autumn?
Right, that they did at the Beck Center.
The Beck Center, right. And I missed that production because I waited too late, and I called her, and she was like, "You're not coming to the production?" I said, "Sure, I'm coming." And then I couldn't get tickets. But thank you for those memories. Yeah. Now, in terms of the Playhouse now and the COVID protocol, are there anything that the patrons should know when attending a show now at the Playhouse?
Sure. So vaccinations are recommended, but you don't have to present your card or anything like that. The real regulation right now is that we ask our audiences to be masked during the show. During the show,
okay. And the upcoming season, do you have a trailer or anything of the upcoming season?
We do. We do.
Okay. Well, why don't we take a look at that right quick?
Great.
Here's the trailer for the coming season for the Cleveland Playhouse.
Hello, I'm Colette Lejour, Managing Director of your Cleveland Playhouse.
And I'm Laura Kepley, Artistic Director.
We're excited to be sharing our fantastic 2022-23 season lineup with you today.
The upcoming season is about discovery, growth, and overcoming impossible odds. At the heart of each play is a mystery, a missing piece that our characters must find through unexpected partnerships, surprising reunions, and daring adventures. Over the course of the season, we will experience live music and theatrical magic, travel from the 1860s to the 1980s to the present day, and engage with cultures close to home and across the globe. We begin with a joyous, music-filled comedy. American Mariachi by Jose Cruz Gonzalez is a story of a determined young woman who goes against tradition to start her own all-female mariachi band. Featuring live mariachi music, this big-hearted play is a celebration of love, family, and honoring traditions old and new. I guarantee that you will leave this play with a huge smile on your face. We continue with The Great Leap, a kinetic and comedic sports drama by Lauren Yee. In 1989, an American college basketball team travels to Beijing to play a friendship game against a Chinese squad. Cultures clash, secrets unravel, and lives are put on the line. This play is a nail-biter right up to the final buzzer. In February, we'll be producing a world premiere inspired by Cleveland's past, present, and future. I'm Back Now by Charlie Yvonne Simpson is a thought-provoking and poignant family drama about a woman who journeys to Cleveland to meet her birth mother and soon discovers she is a descendant of the last woman ever prosecuted under the Fugitive Slave Act. Weaving together 3 generations of one family from the 1860s to today, the play is a meditation on legacy and the histories we carry. Next up is the triumphant true story of America's favorite sex therapist, Dr. Ruth Westheimer. In this life-affirming solo show by Mark St. Germain, Dr. Ruth invites us into her apartment and with her trademark humor and candor, shares her life story, starting from escaping Nazi Germany as a child on the Kindertransport to becoming a world-renowned sex therapist in her 50s. We end our season with a brand new Sherlock Holmes mystery by Ken Ludwig. Danger and laughter lie around every corner when Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson team up with American actress Irene Adler to take down cunning criminal mastermind Professor Moriarty and his devious henchmen. Cleveland audiences will be the first to experience Ken Ludwig's Moriarty, a new Sherlock Holmes mystery. Celebrate the holidays with Cleveland Playhouse. Add Light It Up as a bonus play to your subscription. Written by Jason Michael Webb and Leland Duran Thompson, Light It Up is a family-friendly holiday variety show that features original pop, rock, gospel, and jazz tunes and new arrangements of your Christmas favorites. And we invite you to join us for Cleveland's favorite holiday tradition, the Festival of Trees.
Season tickets are on sale now. Be sure to visit our website and follow us on social media. We'll be releasing short videos featuring each of our shows throughout the spring.
On behalf of all of us at CPH, thank you.
And we'll see you at the theater.
Wonderful. So there's some exciting productions, huh? Indeed. So do you have a favorite?
Oh, goodness. I love all of them.
Of course.
I will spotlight two. American Mariachi, which we're opening the season with. This is the feel-good show of the year. And I guarantee that audiences, like I said in the video, that they will leave with a smile on their face. And then the other show that I want to highlight, which is extraordinary, called I'm Back Now. This is a play that we commissioned, Charlie Yvonne Simpson, and this is the story of a black family in Cleveland that spans multiple generations from 1860 to the current day.
Wow. And that's written by who?
Charlie Yvonne Simpson is her name.
Is that a local playwright?
She's not. She is actually in New York right now.
Okay.
She just, she has won so many, she really is like one of the real up-and-coming playwrights right now. And she visited Cleveland, had story circles in Cleveland to help develop the play. And she's also worked with a local dramaturg as well. So,
I want to ask you in closing, just some of the audience may be interested, how is the selection process of plays for a professional regional theater? Is it the same as a community theater? Is it a collaboration? Is it primarily the artistic director who makes the decisions, or how does that work?
Yeah, I lead the process.
Okay.
And as over the past couple of years, more and more people are involved in the process, and we're looking at how to include even more people in it. But season planning is more than just show selection, because it's also, budgeting and calendar and scheduling and making sure that we're doing a season that our production staff, our incredibly talented production staff, can make and build within reasonable working hours, right? Okay. I think in the theater in the old days, it was, you would do just all-nighters and anything to get the show done. Right. But now we're being much more conscious of sort of equitable work days and whatnot, especially for the people in production. But we probably look at close to 200 plays a year for just the 5 or 6 or 7 that get in to the season. And it's such a balance of wanting to do, baseline all the shows we're going to do are going to be super entertaining, right? We're going to want to make sure that, like you spoke to earlier, that we are very conscious of whose stories we're putting on stage, making sure that the spotlight gets shared across the season. And, I always try to have at least one play that that audiences will find very thought-provoking. Hopefully that runs through all of the plays. And then also looking at plays that celebrate theatricality, like The Three Musketeers. Yes, there have been movies made of The Three Musketeers, but what you're going to experience in the theater is what you could only experience in the theater.
And so finally, what's next for the artistic director of the Cleveland Playhouse? Do you have a dream? You have a goal or something that you want to complete?
Yeah, I think that I think the most important thing for the Cleveland Playhouse right now is that we just continue to be to really look at all of our practices and make sure that we are creating the most relevant, dynamic, and entertaining art, and taking care of all the people who are part of that process.
Thank you so much for appearing on this show.
It is my great pleasure. Thank you.
I would like to thank my special guest, Laura Kepley, Artistic Director of the Cleveland Playhouse, for hanging out with us today on Creative Focus. So we're out. I'm your host, Cornell Calhoun III. Remember, a true artist is not only inspired, but inspires others. Until the next time becomes our time. Cleveland, be well, be safe.